We're at 158, episode 158. Welcome into the Benches Clear podcast, where we cover the best rivalry in all of sports. I am Jesse Gutierrez, and I represent the side of the San Francisco Giants, who are still not playing baseball.
And I'm Dave, representing the side of the Dodgers, who today are not stressed, happy we're in the World Series, ecstatic, but also a little sad with the news that dropped yesterday. And we'll talk about all that and more coming up.
Yes, yeah, maybe we should. We should start on a I'd say downer, like you're being a downer, but it's a downer of a situation. The great Fernando Venezuela passed away, and I didn't realize he was as young as he was. His time was before our times. Really, we were not even alive, I guess. And on the years he was super dominating, so we didn't live through those times. But I guess you could speak more, obviously, to what the legacy means and everything. But I've just admired from afar, I guess.
But he ended up playing for or pitching for a couple other teams that,
Right.
But it was just, for the Hispanic people, it meant so much. Obviously, I'm not young and old enough to have been a part of that. Right. But I do remember when we had other Mexican pitchers pitching for us, how different the environment felt. Like we were watching one of our own, and it's so different. Just the vibe feels a little bit different because of the fans, the type of fans that go to those games. And I think he was a huge part in that, because without him, maybe we don't have that kind of section or that big part of the fan base at all. So it's a really sad day. It's just like when we lost Vin. It's like if you lose a family member, it feels like that.
Right.
Because they've been in your living room for a lot of us our whole childhood. And right. They would paint a beautiful picture of the stadium when you didn't have a way to see the game or whatever it was. So it hits home hearing those news, and everybody feels the same. And every Dodger fan, even if you're not a Dodger fan, because he was in other bases, you feel that loss. And so, yeah, it's a little bit of a somber mood today to begin with.
Yeah, definitely, especially, coming on the heels of everything's supposed to be happy in your neck of the woods. You're about to be in the World Series. You're playing the Yankees. It's the matchup that every single Dodger and Yankees fan wanted, which we'll get into that in a minute. But, and like you're supposed to just be happy. And this is, it could be, and I hate to, you never want to use anything, to be a rallying cry, like that's the most important thing. But I think it's turning into that, after the fact. And it just didn't he stepped down like a month ago or a couple months ago, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure people that were really involved, it's not necessarily like a shock. But I know the video, the pictures that came out, he did look pretty unwell. To where like,
Jaime
I never want to speculate or anything, but
Yeah. Jaime Harin had said, I read an interview where he said like they knew they had already known, or that, he was sick and they knew this might be coming. But he's like, even when it did happen, it was just still a big a shock. Like it still hits, so hard.
Cause like you said, before, like, you grow up with these people on your TVs, and it's kind of funny how like these people don't know who you are, but you feel like you know them. But even you always just have that thought of, oh, they're gonna pull it out and then everything's gonna be fine, like, oh, they're just gonna pull through. And then when it doesn't, happens to everyone, but it's still extremely sad and upsetting. And I guess people kind of get upset when you talk about it like he's like a person that's like in your life. But in a way, especially if you grew up in that era, it's probably the, right before us, the people that are really connected to him. It's like you pay so much close attention to this person. You're rooting for this person so hard. It's like they're almost like a huge part of your life in some kind of weird way.
Yep. So, yeah, we mourn today, and hopefully we celebrate in the future. Now that they made the World Series, as we get into that, I did call it. I did say a 6-game.
That's right. You did say 6 games. Right?
I know they're going to win it in 6.
You also did say um, we were talking a little bit before we recorded, and you were talking about, oh, you were bragging about how you were right and all this kind of stuff. I literally thought you were talking about the Tommy Edman stuff, which is kind of wild. But I forgot about the game 6 that you called it in 6.
I did. Yeah, Tommy Edman. I said it. I'm like, hey man, Shohei's gonna do his thing or not. Mookie will be there. All these guys will be there. The guy that's gonna be the unsung hero is gonna be the little guy. And he wasn't off to a good start, but he's heated up in the playoffs. So Tommy tanks, baby.
Yeah, enough to get some hardware. It's always kind of funny. I feel like baseball is one of those sports where, I mean, like, I feel like football, I don't know. Now that I think about it, there's some with football, but most of the time, it feels like baseball, there's a lot of random NLCS MVPs. Like, it's always like, the Tommy Edmonds, or in our case, the Cody Rosses, like the
Wasn't it Marco
random guy who
Scutaro?
just squeaked. Huh?
Wasn't it Marco Scutaro? I thought he won it.
He won one as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's the
2010
one I
was
was.
Cody Ross. Scutaro was in 2012. You're making my point for me. That's exactly what I'm talking
Exactly.
about, baby.
Yep.
But like, yeah, it's it always seems like it's the random guy getting the NLCS MVP, which is why I know we're not talking Giants, okay? But I'm just gonna say Ryan Vogelsong deserved that NLCS MVP over Madison Bumgarner, okay? I wish he got that, but that's my own thing.
You can't. Okay, so you're probably right. I don't remember that series well. I don't know how well he pitched or not, but it's always about the memorable moments. And Bumgarner had that, like, he came back out and all that crap. And
Well, that was in the World Series. I'm talking about just the NLCS.
Oh,
so
okay.
World
Well,
Series,
I
he deserved
retract
it.
my whole statement. I retract everything because I don't remember.
Well, let's say he had the walk-off home run to win the pennant. He had so many big hits in that series. And Madison Bumgarner was solid, but he was an NLCS. I don't think he deserved it. Long story, but we're not going to get into that today.
Yeah, I don't think he deserved anything he got either. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
And I get it. All right. No more Giants. All right. I even decided to bring out the New York Giants hats because I'm sure we're going to talk a little Mets today and to everyone know this isn't a Mets hat. Oh, wrong side. It's a Giants. You probably still can't see it. It's a little much, but it's a New York Giants hat. Okay. Yes. So I guess we do got to talk about this series. Dodgers are triumphant. At any point, did you feel a little worried?
Oh, yeah. I'm neurotic. Of course. I felt
really
the whole time. The first game, I didn't. And it was because I don't know who the hell that team was. They were bunting. They were getting great starting pitching. Like, everything went perfect in that first game.
Right.
But, that second game, that second inning, I was like, okay, here we go. Now the series started. And what I did like about the team was that there was no quit, even in the losses. They could have easily just lost 11-0, 11-1 and just given up. But they kept fighting out there. And it showed a lot. It showed a different team. And that's why I like their chances moving forward, but that's why it gave me some ease because the offense just kept battling.
Right. It just seemed like it's funny because you when it's your team in there, and you're worried about losing a big playoff game, everything worries you. But from the outside, where obviously I really want the Mets to win, but I don't have any real skin in the game. So it's like it just felt like in no point of this series that the Mets were in any control. I mean, they won a couple games, 100%, but even in those games, they had huge leads that the Dodgers were coming back from. And then the Dodgers wins were just very stomp on the throat. You have no chance in winning this game. Might as well just put in a position player to pitch because it's just not going to happen. That's just how it felt. So,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it. You got it.
I think because there was a lot of people that I saw online saying like, "Oh, we got this," and I was like, I did like the fight in that game 5, so I'm like, oh, okay, this makes me feel good going into game 6 because they didn't completely give up, but I was like, I don't know, it's game 5, game 6, anything can happen, but they put my nerves at ease pretty quickly.
Right. And I mean, in all honesty, if they would have won game 6, then I would have felt completely different. That's one thing I was saying too. Like before game 6, I was like, the Dodgers need to close it out here because if they don't, the momentum's going with the Mets, and then anything can happen in the last game. Jeff
I didn't
McNeil
so
all of a
much
sudden can hit again. I don't know. Can't
I
do
didn't so much
shit.
worry about the momentum as much as like having literally no arms
Yeah.
because he deployed everybody. And it was, it didn't really go to plan either because they all struggled, man. There was like only maybe a few that actually came in there and pitched really well, but for the most part, everybody had a stressed inning in that game.
Yeah, and then it was a shocker to see Flaherty be so dominant in game 1 and then get freaking pecker slapped in game 5. I don't know. I mean, I think we have a lot more to talk about this, but like going into the Yankee series, who do you think is your most important pitcher? Who's going to be your most important pitcher in this series?
Well, before we go into that, I also did say, and it did come true, that Mark Vientos was like one guy we needed to watch out for. And he had both games that they won. He was the main guy that got them going, the home run. And, so kudos to him. As far as going into this series, our most important pitcher, I think it's Walker Buehler. I think Yamamoto has settled down for the most part in these last 2 games that he's thrown. Like, he doesn't seem nervous. If he gives up a run, it's just a bad pitch or whatever it is. But he's just pitching normal. Flaherty, I hope he's rested because when he's rested, he's looked really good. And Buehler, I don't know what Buehler we get.
Right.
He was fantastic in San Diego. I mean, no, he was bad in San Diego, but then he came back in the Mets, gave us 4 innings, but he was really good. So that's our most important pitcher because if he can pitch well, it sets up the bullpen pretty well.
Yeah, and I guess there's a long layover between both series, and that's really going to help the Dodgers bullpen, and that's the one part I think that might have been leaking fumes. Like, if for some reason, the Mets were able to squeak out Game 6, man, I don't know who you're going to have who's going to pitch that Game 7.
There's going to be guys risking injury at that point because they're going to want to pitch anyways. But
right,
yeah.
I mean, and not to say like this helps the Dodgers more than it helps the Yankees because I mean, obviously the rest is going to help them both, at least the pitching wise. But I guess it just depends if.
Well, I mean, I don't think you're wrong. I mean, the Yankees have 4 starters, 5 if they want to add another one. Like they have more than enough starters. This helps out the Dodgers because they have scheduled bullpen games. So, yeah, it obviously does help them out a lot. But also, there's talk that Vesia and Gratterall might be added to the bullpen. And if they're added to the bullpen, you're taking out the rookie who was pitching, Edgardo Enriquez, and I don't know who else you'd take out. Maybe Knack, who didn't pitch well at all and only had like 1 appearance. And you bring those guys in, it only helps the Dodgers. That bullpen just gets that much more filthier.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I don't know. I'm struggling with what I want to say here, but before I want to get into my little rant of the postseason or of this episode for myself, it was shocking to me that you guys had a bullpen guy and that I've literally never heard of before in my life. I don't know if he pitched at all during the regular season or who the heck this guy was. The last name started with a C. I'm trying to pull up the box score right now.
He's a rookie. He was literally in his third or 6th game, Kasperius.
I've never seen this guy before in my life.
Yeah, he had like 1 start. Oh, no. He had 1 inning in Arizona before he was like pitched once more before the end of the season.
Right.
So yeah,
that's where I honestly when I'm watching that game at that time, I think the Mets were up 1-0 when he was pitching. And I was like,
no, it was 2-1.
It was 2-1?
Yeah.
I think you might be right. I think they did end up scoring a couple in the first, right? Yep, you are right. Whatever, dude. Stop being right. We get it. You're right all the time. But I'm like thinking, dude, this is a Game 6 stomp on the throat type game, and you're pitching Who? Who the hell was this guy? This guy
Listen,
had like,
man.
it was number like 89.
Listen, man. I am not a Dave Roberts apologist at all. In fact, I've always been against him. But when it comes to bullpen games, this man knows his stuff. This guy will manage the hell out of a bullpen game. And Casparius looked much better than Enriquez, and he looked much better than Knack. And towards the end, maybe he looked like he left something over the plate. But the first couple of times that he was out there, he pitched really well. So I wasn't mad at the move. If you have guys in that bullpen, you can't hide them. And so I'd much rather the guy that you don't think has the great stuff pitch early. That way, if he gives it up, you have plenty of time to come back with all your other elite arms, and your offense has time to come back. So I wasn't too mad at that move.
I think I wouldn't really blame Dave Roberts for using him because he's on the roster. My thing is, what the hell is this guy doing on the roster? I guess, Vestia goes down, Gradwall, I guess, hasn't came back, whatever the deal is. I guess you got to pitch someone in there. But I just couldn't believe a $300 million payroll team, Game 6, and you got Captain Asparagus on the mound right now.
Hey man, I don't care if they had a $500 million payroll. It takes every one of those 28 guys to win a World Series.
100%. But you think you could have at least one guy who's pitched more than one game in major leagues to pitch an inning?
Listen, it worked out because
we'll have me out there.
We had Joe Kelly out there before, and in 2019 he gave up the game. Sure. We've had Michael Grove out there, and his first time he was out there, he gave up like 2 bombs. Yeah. So if those are my other options, I'm sticking with the rookie.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, who has egg on their face? I guess if it worked out and he gave you an inning and a third of shutout baseball, that's all you could ask for. So
it's always a great move if it works out. If it didn't, yeah. I'm sure we'd be talking crap. But yeah.
No, 100%. But that is also leaving, like, for Dave Roberts to do that. That is putting yourself out. If something did go wrong there, a big home run, or it led to a big inning, even though if they got him out of there, that would have been the focus. Yeah. What the hell is this guy doing out there on a Game 6? A potential clinching game. What are we doing? But
I don't disagree with that. Also, if they had somebody else, but also I also like it because now he has that experience, and he's been in that do or die situation too, where you're only up a run. You're facing the heart of the lineup. Going forward, now I think you can trust him. He showed you can do it. Now you can trust him with the Yankees too. So it's just going to help him as a pitcher in this next series.
Yeah, makes sense. I guess it's time to talk about this World Series now, Dave. We talked enough about the Mets. It's pretty uneventful. It felt like, honestly, like the Yankees and Cleveland games, even though they only went 5 games, that it was like close because every game was close. So it just felt like a better battle, even though the Yankees won in 5 games. But well, I just gotta say, I before you say anything, I am so sick of hearing, oh, but it's Dodgers Yankees. You got to be excited for that. Everyone's going to be excited. It's Dodgers Yankees. Wouldn't that be cool? And the answer is no. Nobody but Dodgers and Yankees fans are excited about this World Series. Yeah, you might get casual fans to watch it. And is that good for baseball? Probably. I'm not going to disregard what it would be. But to say things like, oh, well, everyone's going to be excited, this is the one that everyone actually wants to watch. No. There's people that are going to watch it because they watch every World Series, like myself. I would watch it. Obviously, I watched last year's World Series with the Rangers and the Diamondbacks. But just stop being so full of yourself into thinking that this is the one that everyone wants to watch because the Yankees and Dodgers. Okay? You sound like Gretchen Wieners. Everyone's just upset at you because you're popular. It's not that exciting unless you're a Yankees and Dodgers fan. Okay?
All right.
Don't want to burst your bubble.
First of all, you're 100% wrong. Because
how?
Every single fan acts like they want to see the underdog. Every single fan. and they love to see the underdog, and they love to see him in the World Series. Well, guess what?
Mhm.
Nobody saw the freaking Diamondbacks. Nobody cared. Not a soul cared. The lowest ratings for a World Series ever. I forgot who won it. It's so unforgettable. So
You're so stupid.
nobody
You're
cares.
such a
There's nobody that cares.
I
don't
don't know
know
anybody from that team. I've never seen them before in my life.
I checked
Who
in
the
on it
fuck is
because
this
Corey
guy?
Seager was in, and I think he walked it off. I don't even remember, man. It must have been all a dream. I don't know if they even played one last year. Everybody remembers the 2020 more than they remember last year. They'll talk about it more. So, and secondly,
This episode's over. It's done. We're
secondly,
getting cut off right now.
when we say that nobody wants this, I've
Nobody
been seeing
wants
people put the ratings that it's New York, LA, and Sandy freaking Diego leading the ratings, hate watching the Dodgers. So
Right.
at least those three markets are gonna love watching this series.
Right.
And
Well,
that's
this is my point. No one's excited to watch. Will it be the most ratings? Probably. And one of the main reasons is because your fan base is going to watch your World Series. Who are the two teams that probably have the biggest fan bases? The Yankees and the
course.
Dodgers.
Yeah.
So, and of course, there's going to be more. I think there'll definitely be more casuals, and that will, in turn, it's probably one of the better things for baseball. But the problem with last year's World Series is it was underdog versus underdog. It wasn't, the David and the Goliath. It wasn't.
No, they had the highest payroll. What do you mean?
Who?
The one they didn't have the highest payroll, but they had a much higher pay. Did you see all the free agents they had just signed? The Rangers. They were Goliath.
But not really, though. They weren't seen as that. I get what you're saying.
Sure. They weren't seen as that, but they definitely were.
But that's all that matters. Like, yeah, you and me know that they signed, they spent $500 million on Semien and Seager, and that was the big thing until the Dodgers spent $1 billion on Shohei and Yamamoto. And of course, it's going to get the most ratings because Japan. All of Japan's going to be watching this World Series. I mean, if you're not a Shohei and Yamamoto fan in Japan, you got to at least be a Matsui fan and you're a legacy Yankees fan forever after that. So, I'm sure all of Japan's watching.
Let me ask you this. Without naming your team, what is your dream matchup?
Without naming my team, there's no dream matchup then.
Exactly. So it doesn't matter because you're always going to say, unless your team is in there, you're going to say nobody wants to watch this.
No, no. Maybe I'm misrepresenting what I'm saying. I think this is just like every other World Series where everyone's fan base is going to watch it. The diehard baseball people who watch every World Series, like myself, I watch every World Series, are going to watch it. I think you might get a couple more casual fans just because Yankees and Dodgers, it's there's a lot more casual that are like, I'm a Dodger fan, but I don't watch the game. I don't do nothing. Casual fans. There's a lot more Dodger fans that are like that, and a lot more Yankees fans are like that than any other franchises because they're bigger. Does that make sense? Am I making sense? Am I talking stupid right now?
No, I mean, it's a sexy matchup. There's no doubt about it. But is it the matchup that I wanted? No, give me the worst team possible. I don't want this. You know what I mean? Like I'd rather play whoever sucked than having to face the best team on the other side. But
I'm just saying, all I'm saying is just stop being so full of yourself, Dodger fans and Yankee fans. No, this isn't the dream matchup that everyone wanted. That's not it.
But there is no dream matchup. This is as close as we get to it because it's the two best teams. Stop.
It's your dream matchup because you're in it.
Well, yeah, sure, obviously, but you'd also want to see the two best teams go at it, would you not?
Right. Not necessarily. I like the David versus Goliath one too, as well as Juggernauts. Like I like seeing it all.
The dream matchup for me would be Mike Trout making into the World Series and he faces Ohtani. That would be awesome. That would be so many storylines, whatever. That'd be cool. That means the Angels are in the postseason. It's good for baseball.
Oh, Shohei Ohtani. What team does he play for?
Well, he doesn't have to be a Dodger. Even if he wasn't a Dodger, I'd like to see that matchup.
Okay, fine. To make your fantasy reality, just trade him, and then we can make your fantasy reality.
Even if he was a Giants, I'd watch that. That's a sexy storyline. That'd be a dream. That'd be cool.
Of course.
So that's why I think like this is cool too.
That's the difference.
I know I'm in it, but Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani. It's cool. You don't have to
Yeah.
hate them to be cool. You don't have to do that. You can admit that
Yeah,
they're cool and you can watch it.
The other narrative that I've seen is baseball's rigged. They just got the two most popular teams because they told, or what was the last one? They told the Padres to lose so the Dodgers can play the Yankees in the World Series. If that was, I feel like we shouldn't even mention it because that's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life. But also, then that would happen. Maybe not even every year, most years. Most of the time, there's one random team in the World Series.
Yeah,
There's sometimes two.
Yeah, there's no way
Sometimes
Rob
not
Manfred was
even.
like,
I wouldn't even say random, but like the number 2 and 3 teams are usually really good, and they'll be in the World Series. But this is 1-1. This. When's the last time a 1-1 happened?
yeah, it's not like Manfred's like, hey, Astros, I need you guys to lose because we want the Rangers in there, or Dodgers lose because we want the Diamondbacks in there. Like, come on,
Right.
That's beyond ridiculous. Whatever, but yeah, that made no sense to me.
Yeah. So, all right. Narratives aside, I guess we should talk about more specifics of this this World Series. So Dodgers are going to go with the same rotation of Flaherty, Yamamoto, Bueller, and TBD.
And yep, and bullpen dogs.
The trusty TBDs. I think I would like to see what the record is of bullpen games because it feels like the Dodgers win every bullpen game that they.
I think they're 2-0 right now, right? Yeah,
at least the last one because the two games they lost were I guess the first game they lost in the NLCS was a bullpen game because Brazier started.
Oh
yeah,
they're 2-1. Yeah, 2-1.
So I don't know how I don't remember exactly what it was in the NLDS because it was just it seems so far ago. But
who was our game 1 starter? Was it Flaherty?
Yeah, Flaherty.
Yeah.
I want to say it was Flaherty off. Bullpen game than Yamamoto.
No, it was
right?
Yamamoto. It was Yamamoto. He was
Really?
the game 1 starter. Yeah, and we still won it because Cease gave up the
Man, do you remember what we were thinking around that time? Do you remember what kind of people we were all the way back then?
When we were 2-1, I was in a pretty dark place. 2-1.
Were you?
Well, not really. I was just
you needed a friend to check it on you.
It was just my room and there was no light in it. But yeah, I remember. I'm like, oh, here we go again. Another off season of endless jokes, and they turned it around. The rest has been history.
Apparently, yeah. And then obviously the Yankees have their rotation of Cole, Rodon, Schmidt, Gill, and Cortez is going to make his postseason. I want to say debut, but he's been in other postseasons before. 2024 postseason debut is in the World Series. Another head scratcher to me why you wouldn't want Stroman in there, even if he's in the bullpen. I don't know. Maybe he's like, I'm only gonna pitch if I'm a starter. I don't know. But I just can't imagine because Cortez, we were talking before, and we're talking about how Cortez was hurt. So I don't understand how an injured Cortez is better than a Marcus Stroman is the only thing that puzzles me.
The only pushback on that would be that he's a lefty, and you have a lot of lefties in the Dodgers lineup. But other than that, yeah, I'd rather have the healthy arm than somebody who might get hurt.
Yeah. Do you have any man on the scene? Dodgers insider who knows everything inside the clubhouse, Dave. What's going on with Freddie Freeman? Is he going to be? Is he on the roster
for game 1? So he's been off his foot, he said, and he hasn't done any actual running. So he says he's good to go for game 1. From there, I guess they'll see, man. So hopefully he's. I mean, he hasn't looked like himself at all. Yeah, he hasn't looked like himself at all.
Right.
So maybe you have to go Kike and Muncy if he still can't, really do anything with that ankle.
Yeah. I mean, if we're going, one or the other, talking rotation, man, yeah, I don't see that there's any way you could go anywhere but Yankees. I was looking at both of them right now, and I'm thinking, well, maybe top end you can convince yourself it's Flaherty Yamamoto, but it's like, I don't know, Cole and Rodon.
But are you looking
Oh,
at just the name? Because I think Rodon's been a little bit better, but Cole hasn't looked like Cole. He's
right,
been good,
correct.
but he doesn't look like Cole, and they need that Cole to beat this lineup.
Right, but that's another thing too. It's like, are you also just judging on the handful of starts in this postseason? Are you going to say, oh, he could turn around at any moment and be Garrett Cole? I think you do have to go based on the name at this point because they also have ample rest. They only played 5 games. They sat for 2 games with 2 off days and then extra off days to go into the World Series. I feel like he's rested. Rodon is rested. You see the light at the end of the tunnel. I think you got to go based on names at this point, and you can't go based on was it 3 starts in the last 3 starts, and for this postseason. I think you got to look at the name.
I mean, if you look at that way, then I'd easily take. I'm still taking the Dodgers because they haven't been
Okay.
they haven't been as I don't know. Both staffs have had dents on them. It's not like just because it's Cole, it's a clear advantage. But then
100%.
you look at him, he hasn't been
Right.
the same Cole, and Rodon, he's been gettable. He gives up the long ball a lot, so they obviously do have the edge. But I'm just saying it's not like it's that big of a gap. I would say I don't know. At least the first 2 matchups, I would think that it would be close
Right.
games. After that is when you see their advantage, just like with the Mets, because they have Gill, Schmidt, and you're having to go with Bueller, who you don't know what you're going to get, and the bullpen. So I think the first 2 you're not evenly matched, but you're pretty close. And then after that, it's like, yeah, they have the advantage.
From the outside, I think it's a pretty large gap. I'm gonna be honest with you
Well,
because you
we'll
don't know
see.
what you're getting. You don't know what you're getting with Yamamoto either. Um,
I don't know, man.
I
The
know he
last
looked.
2 starts have looked really good.
Yeah, and like I'm saying, like if you're going by the past 2 starts, you could for sure go that way, but I feel like that's kind of cherry picking to me.
Well, I mean, it's the postseason. I don't care what they did in the regular season. It's what you've done
I mean, it
now.
does matter a little bit. It does matter a
Not
little.
really.
You can't, because you have like 2 bad starts in a row. It's like, yeah, but you can also turn it around. I mean, Yamamoto had a terrible couple starts this postseason, and then he turned it around, and his last 2 were pretty damn good. So,
But I
uh,
don't think it was ever a question of his stuff. I think it was a question of like location and jitters or whatever. But I don't think anyone questioned like, oh, he doesn't have the stuff, because you could
that's
see
for
it even
sure.
in the pitches. He was just missing maybe badly, but you could see the stuff was there. Yeah.
Right, right. Okay, I mean, yeah, you could do some great mental gymnastics. Sure, that's fine. Um,
Definitely.
so, but I think it's overwhelmingly Yankees. Bullpen. I think they're both going the same way of leaking oil, but they're getting ample rest now. Um, I were looking especially just at the top, at the back end of that bullpen when you're going, Weaver closing, and you got Clay Holmes, but you look at Blake Triton, who's been killing it. Evan Phillips has had a great postseason. I think, and obviously how much they've been pitching can go into a little bit to your advantage too when they're hot. So bullpen, I think you do have to go Dodgers, unfortunately.
And like we said, you're probably leaving Knack out. You're probably leaving the rookie Enriquez out, and if all goes well, you're gaining Vesia and Gratterall, and those pieces are huge. They make that bullpen game even a little bit better because guys don't have to go an inning plus. Now you have Vesia and you have Gratterall who can take those innings as opposed to leaving it to the rookies or whoever it was. So, yeah, I think the Dodgers have a little bit of an advantage when it comes to the bullpen game or the bullpens in general.
One thing, I guess, I'm not sure how big righty lefties really going to play into starting pitching because I'm sure the splits are a little bit different, but um, the main big dogs for the Yankees are all right-handed, and all the starting pitchers for the Dodgers are right-handed. So, man, the next part of the game, I guess, would obviously be the lineup. Man, I just feel like I want to say it's a wash. I'm not sure, especially with Freddie. Not sure what Freddie is, which one you're getting, and Giancarlo Stanton being so hot right now. I might have to go Yankees, but because obviously Judge Soto, and a hot Giancarlo Stanton, I think could beat. It's obviously Judge's had a better season offensively than Ohtani. Juan Soto has been, I don't know, we might have to compare Juan Soto to Mookie Betts numbers, but Giancarlo Stanton to Freddie Freeman at this moment, I don't think you can pick Freddie Freeman for anything because you don't even know if he's even going to be playing or what kind of Freddie Freeman you're going to get.
Sure, take out Freddie Freeman and just insert Tommy Edman then. and then you go Dodgers. So
hell no. Well, no, we're going Yankees. I think it's pretty clear that the Yankees have the better lineup. I mean, I guess a better top three as of right this second. If you're looking at who's hot right now, I mean, I guess if you look at a postseason Kike, you look at Max Muncy, the kind of postseason he's been having, maybe as a full lineup, you could probably argue Dodgers, but man, top three, I think you got to go Yankees, which is going to carry it for me, mainly because I also hate the Dodgers. I don't want to give them more than I should, so I'm going Yankees.
Obviously, you're cherry picking, and you're just
How is that cherry picking? That's everything.
But I mean, the Dodgers have faced Cease, all these other guys. You had the Yankees struggling versus the Royals with 2-1 games.
Whoa, hold on.
You had them struggling with Cleveland.
You can say, no.
And if
Cleveland's
you're saying
bullpen is fire,
that's fine. But if they have such a great lineup, they would not be struggling. They won because they hit bombs at very opportune times. Meanwhile, if you look at the Dodgers, they were just freaking running over people when they won. So if you're going to compare, then let's compare the games.
I don't know if that's true though. You're talking about the Royals, like Michael Wacha didn't have a crazy good season. Like Seth Lugo didn't have an almost Cy Young season.
Would you rather face Michael Wacha or Dylan Cease? I'm facing Michael Wacha 10 out of 10 times over Cease.
I don't know. I think we might have to look up numbers because Michael Wacha had a really good season this year, and so did Seth Lugo. So
well, I mean, sure, but they still struggled, and Dodgers still face that same kind of talent, and were able to break through most games so far this postseason.
Yeah, I'll let you have that opinion. That's fine, and I see where you're coming from, but I'm not going to agree with you because I am also a giant homer who doesn't want to give you your due. So there's also that.
I think it's close. Again, it's going to come down to the Tommy Edmonds, to the Alex Verdugos. If those guys, if you can put not let them get on for the big dogs, then you'll probably be in a good spot for either side.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, and that's, I guess, maybe like a story that's not being talked about. This is Alex Verdugo's homecoming. The prospect that kind of never was, in a way. I mean, he was at one point the number one prospect in baseball. So, and I think his postseason started off really hot, and I just looked up his numbers because I was like, oh man, I heard Verdugo was hot and he's having a good postseason. This is what I'm going to kill Dave with, but I just looked it up, and he's hitting 194 with 544 OPS. So we're not going to go there, but maybe he goes off against his old team.
I could totally see it, man. Every ex-Dodger loves going off versus his, the old team. So it wouldn't surprise me one bit, but let's hope it doesn't happen.
All right. I mean, Jazz Chisholm's being Jazz Chisholm. Torres is having a good postseason. Volpe's having a good postseason. Man, I don't know. I think this is definitely, that's one thing that is exciting about these two teams is they're both good top to bottom, except I guess you can say the opposite for the Dodgers when it comes to their starting pitching, because it's so unreliable. But when you factor in how good they've been in bullpen games, it's almost like, there's the thing of what I'm thinking, like they're going to get tired eventually. But we're going into the World Series and it hasn't happened, and they just got 4 or 5 days rest. What was the game, Sunday? Right? Yeah, you're getting
Yeah.
5 days rest. So, I mean, I guess you could talk about how they're going to get tired, and that's definitely a talking point and definitely a legitimate concern. But at the same time, we're close to the end, and it hasn't happened yet. It's not that far fetched that they can squeeze it out for another 5 or 6 games.
And a lot of that has to do with the offense because they provided a lot of innings where they were stress free because they'd give them 3-run leads or 4, whatever it was, and it takes off the stress. You're still pitching. Sure, your body's gonna get tired, but it's not the same as when you're in a 1-run game and every single pitch you can't mess up, and it's a different kind of stress. So that did help a little bit. Plus, now you get the 5 days, so they should be good to go.
Okay, Dave, I think it's time to hear your prediction. Did Nostradamus lose his magic, or are you going to predict this World Series? I want to hear who's going to win, how many games, who's the World Series MVP. Action.
So I think it's another 6-game series, and I think the Dodgers win it in LA in front of their fans for the first time since 88, and for
what
MVP,
they didn't win it in 2020.
Not in front of their home fans, not
in front of their home fans. Where they play?
You know what? We're not
in Texas, where no one was there, so there's no actual.
Did you mute yourself? Thank God, because nobody needed to hear that.
I'll plug my mic on, so I'm going to continue. So they wasn't in front of their home fans. No one knows if it was staged like the moon landing. Okay.
But yet it'll be talked about for years and years to come, just like the moon landing. Anyways, my MVP is going to be I don't know, man. It's such a team effort. I know Edman went off, but I don't know if it's going to be him this time. I think I don't know. I'm going to go with an obvious one. I'm going to go with Mookie. I think he goes off.
Okay.
So I think he'll be the World Series MVP.
Dodgers in 6, Mookie Betts. Let me shit all over that prediction and go Yankees in 5. They win it at home in front of their home fans since 2009. And the World Series MVP is future Giant Juan Soto.
So it's not even a freaking contest. The Dodgers are just going to get rolled over, huh? Gentlemen sweep.
They're going to get rolled over. The thing is I think they're all going to be close games. It's going to be one of those Guardians Yankees series. All close games, but the Yankees are going to squeak it out because of Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, Giancarlo Stanton. Verdugo's going to go crazy this series because he's like, they got to know they shouldn't have let me go. Everyone keeps saying that the Mookie Betts trade sucked for Boston, so I'm going to go off. I'm guessing that's what he sounds like in his head. So,
the only other thing we haven't talked about is the guys in the dugout. And I think the Dodgers have an advantage, even though everybody always criticizes Roberts. He's pushed all the right buttons this offseason. This postseason. And I always hear the Yankees just bad-mouthing Boone, so hopefully he doesn't. He turns into the Rays manager when he took out Snell. Hopefully he has one of those blunders, and we take advantage.
Yeah, but people say the same thing about Dave Roberts.
Oh, so, for sure. But
so we can we can go that route too. But I do get what you're saying. I think this isn't exactly a hot take because this happens in every regular season series. There's going to be some. Oh, we would have won if Aaron Boone didn't. Oh, we would have won if Dave Roberts would have.
Yeah,
I think there's going to be a lot of that. I'm sure there's going to be at least one instance that's going to be huge. And I'm excited to get into it when it gets to that time. I'm sure we're going to probably do a check-in at some point, but
I haven't had one of those moments yet where it's like, hey, why didn't you do this or do that? Because looking at it rationally, it's like I understand what you're doing. Like, oh, you didn't want to bring in your elite arms in this game and try to win it here. I get it. You needed to go back home and have them ready. Okay. Oh, you wanted to see what Knack was going to do? Well, good. You did it early. He sucked, and we never saw him again. Like, I understand it. I understand what you did there. I get it. So I haven't had one of those moments yet. If it happens in the World Series, I'm sure we'll criticize it. But for now, I mean, he's done a pretty good job.
All right, there it is. We'll figure out when we're going to come out next. I know it's been a little all over the place because obviously we want to do it based on off days, and so we can get in. That's the one thing about baseball is like the narrative changes so quick the next day, so you always want to do it based on an off day. So hopefully we'll be coming at you after maybe Game 5 or something, but we'll let you know what happens. You'll see if you just hit the subscribe button on your favorite podcasting platform or YouTube, you're going to know right away because you're going to get the notification. So do us a favor, do that. Thank you guys for hanging out with us all season. And before we sign off, Dave, ready the troops for the World Series. What do you got to say?
Hey, we need the fans who are going there to be as loud as possible. Show your passion. Don't worry about what anybody else says. Who cares? We're here. It doesn't matter what the outside voices say. Let's just go out there, be loud for our guys, and let's enjoy this World Series.
Let's go New York. At least one of the New Yorks. So, yeah. Maybe one New York can take you guys out, hopefully, and I won't have to hear it forever inside of my household because that would suck. But thank you guys for hanging out with us. If there's any Giant fans still listening and hanging out with us every week, we really appreciate you for
you
going
are
through
a
this.
Trooper. Whoever you are a trooper, and we appreciate you listening to us.
100%.
Yes.
If you are a Dodger fan listening to us, you got what you wanted. You made me sad. But thank you so much for hanging out.
Mission accomplished, guys. We did it. First year doing this, and we made Jesse sad. Let's go.
We got him. But make sure to be hanging out with us the rest of the way. Especially afterwards, you guys get knocked out of the World Series, and we can be sad boy with everybody. So, with Dave. So, thank you so much for listening. Make sure to, I already told you to subscribe. So just follow us on your socials while you're at it. Twitter, Benches Cleared P, TikTok, Benches Cleared, and Instagram, Benches Cleared Podcast. Dave, what do you have for him?
See ya.
We'll see you next week. Or this, whatever the week is, you're going to be subscribed. So it's cool. We'll see you then.